What's up, landlords? Rene here. I'm going to have a talk with Jack. We don't know each other, and we're just going to have a chat and see where it goes. So, Jack, to start this thing off, I'm going to guess some stuff that I think I know about you. I looked you up today. I spent some time going through all your videos and stuff, and you tell me where I'm wrong.
Okay.
All right. So, the first thing I think I know is you're a real estate investor in Pittsburgh, and you're an outdoorsman.
Correct.
All right. Also, I think you did some college. You're into business. You had a lawn business, and I think your family has a dumpster business. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And
They
then,
they also own a engine shop too.
okay. Um, Also, I think you might be married to Cynthia, and you don't have kids.
Um, Domestic partners, but close enough.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty much my best guess at what I kind of learned besides the specific real estate stuff. And one other thing that I thought was unique that I would like to point out that I know about you is you used to mow a cemetery. You know about what to do if bees end up on your rental property, honeybees, and your tenants can't get in. And then there was some other unique stuff that I learned from you. But do you have anything you want to add?
Uh, I honestly, even though it's only been a couple months, I forgot about the whole bee incident.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed watching all your videos and everything. So I was just trying to do as much research as I could to get to know you before we had this podcast. And at the very end, I'm going to give you some feedback of some stuff that I saw with like brand new eyes, my first impression of you, and like some pointers that I think might help you out. And you could take it or leave it. It's not like I'm some kind of expert.
Okay, cool.
All right, so you're Jack. How old are you? I don't know how old you are.
35.
35. And if you had to ballpark your net worth, what do you think it is?
Um,
You crossed the million threshold yet?
no, I'm far from it. I would guess probably here. I got a pen and paper with me.
You'll calculate it live right now. Most
It won't take me that
investors,
long.
most real estate investors know it because you can easily calculate your asset values and how much debt you have, and you can kind of get a number.
Probably about 450.
Okay, you're at the half a million mark right there. Um, the reason why I'm asking is because I'm going to start asking the same standard questions with everybody I have a podcast with, and then it's going to hopefully show a profile of DIY landlords. So, appreciate you playing along. How long have you had your rentals?
About 4 or 5 years.
Okay. How long do you intend to keep your rentals?
There's a couple I might consider selling in the future. I'm a firm believer in like the Coach Carson approach as far as the small mighty investor and keeping a leaner thing. But I'd say probably like 80 to 90% of my portfolio I plan on keeping forever. And the only other factor that might come in is if a property is too much of a pain. Like there's already one that I'm thinking about later in the future selling because it's stuck in the middle of a hillside.
Okay, I think I saw a YouTube video you talking about. Is that the one where you're building the retainer walls? You got to build like at least two, maybe three.
Yeah, that was the one about the bees.
Okay. Oh, the bees ones too. All right. So, can you tell me, in a short sentence or a few words, like why did you get into real estate investing?
Um, the best way to summarize it was I just got tired of working. I remembered back in high school one day where we played. I'm not sure if you had it. We played a stock market game, and I finished, I think, like fifth in the school and 50th in the state, and I forget where I was in the country. That doesn't matter. But I realized I had an knack for investing at that point. Let's skip forward about 10, 15 years or so, and I'm just burnt out. I maxed out where I'm at in my job. There's no advancing forward unless I go back to school. I don't feel like dedicating that many years of my life. I hated school. I didn't like college. So that's when I started looking at investing. I started with stocks again because I was good at it, but it wasn't moving fast enough. That's what got me into real estate.
Okay, very good. I appreciate you sharing a little bit about that, your thought process. Um, makes a lot of sense. Okay, do you use a property manager for all your properties?
No, I don't use. I've never used a property manager.
Okay. Um, did you complete some degrees in college? Because I thought I saw one of your videos. You went to college, but you might have not. You finished it because it was a waste of money because of debt.
That was the second time I went back. I was going
Oh,
for a business degree. The
okay.
first time I went, I completed my degree in engineering.
Wow. So you got a STEM degree. Was it a associate's or bachelor's?
It was an associate's, but it wasn't a typical associate. So at that time, it was a 3-year program. But what makes it different was that's the highest you can get in that field was an associate's. You can stack certificates. So in that degree of engineering, I have certificates for radiology, electrical, small voltage, a whole bunch of different stuff.
Okay.
I can even, but I had to understand the human anatomy and stuff. So like when I have nurses and ER directors and all that kind of stuff talk about the human anatomy, I have to understand what they're talking about. So I have a certificate in even that all that kind of stuff. Like I could recite off the top of my head how many millivolts if they get into your bloodstream, how your blood acts as a resistor and how much current it takes and how that can possibly kill you. Like I understand all that stuff.
Wow. Would you consider yourself real analytical?
No.
Okay.
I
Um.
would say I'm probably more mechanical.
Okay. Are you are all your rentals that you manage, are they within, you would like, let's say 2 hour drive?
I think if you took the two furthest ones apart from each other, they're not more than 30 minutes from each other.
Oh wow. So you're way closer than within the 2 hour drive, then that's good. Can you elaborate a little bit on your thought process why you decided not to use a property manager and why you decided to self manage?
I thought at the beginning that it was just a waste of money for all that they do. There wasn't a whole, I didn't have a whole lot of options in my area that would cover the entire thing. So like they would cover like the city of Pittsburgh, but then they wouldn't want to do anything with my properties up north. So
Hmm.
I was left with like the three options, and to be quite frank, they all just kind of sucked.
All right.
I was like, I can do a better job with less experience than they can.
All right. So you thought they were a waste of money and they didn't offer, I guess the options they offered sucked because you were trying to get them to
Yeah,
kind of do a whole package of everything, different properties. So how many
and a
rental
couple
you go ahead?
and a couple of them were just starting out themselves. So it's like, well, how much better are you going to be than me?
Yeah, yeah. And I think nobody's going to run your assets better than you. So can you tell me how many rental properties you have and how many units total you have?
There's technically, let's see, 5 properties. I count the one as a fourplex, the one you're watching a walkthrough on. So that would be one, two, three, 4 properties. One's a live-in house hack. That's where Cynthia's at, and that leaves us with 4 actual rental units. Sorry, yeah, Cynthia does her strategy is live in house hack, so she'll live in a place that needs revamped and fixed up. So that's what her
Okay.
strategy is. So probably next year she's gonna rent that one out, go get something else. So that was in the count, but I meant to say 9 units.
Okay. So 4 properties,
Sorry about
9
that.
units, or 5 properties, 9
Yes.
units. Okay, 4, 9. Yeah, I'm just trying to keep
Yeah.
track of that because I know a lot of times people say, "Oh, I have this many rentals," and it's like, "All right, well, how many doors are we talking about?" And it's pretty impressive that you're
9.
managing up to 9 units. Do you and Cynthia both manage together?
We manage at different times, but it seems like I always end up getting the calls and stuff.
Okay.
But I'm okay with that.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the properties you have? Are they're all single family residents? You know, ADUs, mobile homes. I think you got a quadplex for sure. Small multi.
Yeah, there's the quadplex. That's the newest one that's going through the remodel. There's the two duplexes, and then Cynthia's doing the live-in house hack for her townhouse, and she
Okay.
lives in that half.
Okay. Have you do you, I don't know in your market if ADUs or are is a thing, or if like tiny houses or anything like that goes on in your area? Have you considered that?
I have some areas they're okay, some areas they're not. Um, I actually don't have any properties where the property is actually physically big enough to actually put an ADU on. I am thinking about keeping that in mind. There's some properties up a little bit further north, and I was thinking about doing something like that, try to get like 2 acres, and just to make it a real quick, easy ADU. I was thinking about putting a trailer on it.
Okay. What kind of terms do you offer on all your units? Short, mid, long?
They're all long.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to try and make it as easy as I can on myself. I don't do the mids and shorts.
Okay. If you had to say what your biggest, I would say, problem or what you hate the most about property management, what would you say?
I don't know if there really is one thing I hate.
Oh, really? Love the job.
I mean, there's things that I don't like, but it's how should I say? Like, do I like doing the remodels by myself? Probably not. But at the same time, the factor that when you're done with everything, you get to see how your work turned out and all that kind of stuff. And you take a step back to actually enjoy it. It to me, in my eyes, it makes it worthwhile going through all the headaches of the process. And I
Okay.
don't see anything in doing this that outweighs the parts that I appreciate.
So you do you handle all your own maintenance and repairs?
No, I outsource some of the smaller stuff, but like some of the bigger stuff that I could save money that I know how to do, that I can do just as quick or good, I do myself. So like I'll do a bathroom remodel and take up a weekend, and I'll do a kitchen remodel and take up like a couple days to do that kind of stuff. It it saves money. I enjoy doing that kind of stuff because even like after I get financially free from this stuff, I'm still doing this stuff. Like even without my W-2 in life. So it's not like I'm doing it just to save money. I'm doing it because I actually like doing it.
Okay. What's your primary means of communication? Like, how do you normally communicate with your rental tenants?
It depends on the person. I have people that prefer email. I probably most of them and prefer text. I have one lady. She's in her mid 80s, I think. She wants phone calls or handwritten messages.
Oh man. Do you do anything to limit excess communication with your tenants? Like repeat calls, shortcuts or anything?
They honestly don't or talk to me a whole lot. Like I told them right from the very get go. I was just like, I work night shift. Don't be afraid to call me at 2 a.m. for the running toilet and stuff. And I maybe get like a few text messages a month. And honestly, it's not really that bad. It's usually more along the lines of, hey, this happened. Do you want me to take care of it doing this, or do you want to bring or hire a handyman to do this type of
Okay.
stuff?
So you set the standard or the expectation up front and explain your situation. They know you're the
Hmm.
landlord and you work night shift, and you'll give them options. You work around their schedule and stuff.
Yeah.
How do you set the
And then
rents
I
or
usually
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, and then I ask permission to give the handyman their phone number, and that way they can just bypass me for the whole thing and talk to each other. And me and the handyman have an agreement. It's just like, hey, I don't want them talking you into doing a whole bunch of extra little projects and stuff. You're in there just to do this.
So there's certain things that you allow them to go direct with the handyman as long as you pre-authorize it.
Correct.
Okay. And can you tell me how you go about setting your rents?
I just I look at Craigslist. I Most people in my area use Zillow, so I'll zoom out and just look at the comps for Zillow and stuff. And I'll look at Marketplace, and really I don't take it too much further than that.
Okay. How do you handle your rehabs, like your listings? Can you talk me through the process of like maybe like turnover? What happens when the tenant leaves and you're in the process of getting them out, getting the unit ready, for bringing on the new person?
So so 60 days before, they usually notify me. I never actually told someone that we're not renewing. It's usually they're notifying me. And so 60 days out they tell me. I tell them at 30 days I want to do an inspection so we can cut, so we can have everything pre-ready to go so that on their last day within the last week after they leave I can cut them a check. As long as when I go in there after they leave everything's fine. I'll take pictures of the place and go ahead and market it, trying to keep out as much stuff of theirs as I can, or I'll use previous pictures taken by a professional, which is I'm slowly implementing that feature in. Will After they move, the first day in, I have a paint gun. Me and the one guy that helps me out a lot. We lay tarps. We'll hit a room. We'll shoot the walls. Clean out the gun. I start doing all the trim work and stuff. He will then and we'll then pull up the carpets, throw them in the next room. He starts running a carpet scrubber, starts cleaning it out. I start shooting that room, doing the trim work, and then after that, usually after 2 rooms, we don't feel like doing any more painting that night. We clean everything out, go to the kitchen, get that cleaned out, go to the bathroom, get that cleaned out, and then usually our next trip in, we finished everything else, and we do it. And then the rest of the week, if there is anything, we'll do some updates and stuff. So like the last one, we replaced the counters. And we can
Okay.
usually do that in about a week.
And then do you clean it yourself or do you hire professional cleaners?
It depends, honestly. Like I'd say 90% of the time we clean or we hire someone out to clean it, but it's just that particular one. He bought a industrial scrubber and wanted to try it out, so we just went ahead and tried it.
Okay. And then when do you start showing the rental through this process? Do you wait until you're 100% complete, 90?
I wait until all of our tools and stuff are out, and as soon as that happens, we start showing. And that was kind of what I mentioned before, and I never did cut this video yet. I kind of just got all my finished up my notes for it. I do a cross between Dion and Mike Butler, which is if you want to see it, you can fill out an application, give or screenshot your driver's license, shoot it over to me, and I'll give you a combination to the place to come in and see it yourself with one of those cameras on the door. You show your driver's license, you take it'll see you, make sure I'll let you in, I'll shoot you the code at that point. It's a one-time use code. They go in, they can self-tour it, and then they can leave. Or the other thing I do is just I'll set a time, say I'm here between this hour and this hour, and everyone comes all at one time. And sometimes I do a combination of both.
How long do you think you normally give like a 1 hour window?
They can stay there as long as they want. Honestly, I've never had anyone really stay there longer than half an hour.
So can you tell me how does it work with that camera, that doorbell camera thing? Do you provide Wi-Fi for
Mhm.
that thing to function?
Yeah, I just do one of those 5G things. I bought one from Sprint. I think it's like $10 a month. No, it's a little more than that one. It's probably about $20 a month, I think, for the package I buy. And I just plug it into the nearest outlet near the door. That way, it can run the key or the keyless entry and the camera. And after that, the person that's ends up getting selected to be the tenant, I change it all back. If they want a key doorknob, I put a key doorknob back in it. If they want to keep the keyless entry, that's fine. We'll leave a keyless entry in it. Some people want to keep the ring, but want a different ring that I don't have access to. That's fine. I
Okay.
completely understand that.
So there's sometimes you'll go in there. It's almost like a real estate agent hanging a lockbox, but you go in there, swap out the lock for an e-lock, and then you plug in the 5G Wi-Fi, and you install the door camera, kind of the same equivalent, so you can
Mhm.
utilize the self tours. And is that because you work, real late mid shifts and stuff like that?
I did that because one, because of that, and two, I got so tired of people not showing up.
Mm. And how do you handle your condition reports, like your move in inspection and move out inspection? I think from what I gathered, what you said earlier, before they move out 30 days prior, you're going to do an inspection with them then. So that
Yeah.
covers the move out. But what about the move in?
Move in, we shoot a video of it, like literally before we show it to anyone of what the property looked like. And we have them, and we kind of have the video as part of the lease, and they sign off to that in our lease. Yeah, in the video, it goes across every wall, every outlet. It goes under the kitchens, or sorry, under the sinks, showing what it looks like. That way, if there's any water damage, it's much easier to prove. It shows that the refrigeration's working. I'll carry one of those little laser thermometers. Shows the stove's working. Any appliance.
Okay. With this footage, where do you save it and store it, and how do you get the tenants to review it to sign off?
So what I do is I save it to my computer, and then I send them a link, and in the lease, or like a Google Drive link. That way they
Okay.
can watch it and stuff. And I'll even put in the lease referring to the video. And what we do is we create a private YouTube channel that it's not accessible by anyone. And I can put the link to it there. So, you need permission in order to do it. So the tenant gets permission automatically. I have permission to use it. And if it ever has to go to court for some reason, we'll give the judge authority to watch the video as well.
Okay, so what you're saying is you save the footage initially to your computer, but then you're uploading it to a private YouTube channel, and then you share the unlisted YouTube channel video link to the tenant?
Correct.
Okay. How do you go about collecting your rents?
Uh, I'd say probably 80% of our tenants use Venmo. There's one that uses PayPal. There's another one that uses Zelle, and the older lady, she likes to handwrite a check.
Okay. So you got one that does the paper checks. How does she deliver those to you?
She's just 3 houses up the road from me, so she just walks it down and sticks it in the mailbox.
So she gives it to your mailbox. She doesn't even go to the door. She just you did you train her that, or how'd that come about?
I told her that I was moving to the area, because of my job and stuff. And I told her it's just, a few houses down, and she's like, "Oh, do you care if I just save a stamp and just walk it down and stick it in your
Hmm.
mailbox then?" I was like, "I don't care."
Cool. You seem to be very flexible how you communicate with your tenants and how you allow them to pay. Can you tell me a little bit about your LLC structure? That's a hot topic, with landlords and real estate investors. Do you got a strategy that you use?
I don't have one. It's not that I'm against them or anything. It's just what I'm waiting to do is max out what I can as far as Freddie and Fannie Mac and get to the point where I have to do a portfolio loan, create an LLC, have that LLC then basically take over the portfolio loan, and then create another LLC that manages that. And the landscaping company will probably fall under an LLC, which that would probably have to be done this year if I'm going to fire that back up.
You're trying to max out all your personal debt with your personal name before you try to go the commercial route.
Correct.
How do you handle your bookkeeping and accounting?
I just use Excel spreadsheets.
Okay, and you break it
Yeah,
down with different tabs for properties and stuff.
I break it down by different tabs for properties. I break it down by expenses. It's pretty simplistic, honestly. It's just basically, I forget what they call it. It just what goes out, what comes in, gas, electric, water, sewage, all the utilities that are included on different properties and stuff. And it's just a running balance, and I have different projections. I'll have um, different projects set up for the future, and it'll tell me it'll change colors based upon the percentage of what I'm setting back for, if we're on track, behind, or ahead.
All right. Can you tell me? I'm assuming you're operating out of your personal checking for this, or do you have a separate personal checking at a different bank to collect the rents, and then you're tracking all your expenses and putting it on your Excel? Is that right?
Separate one.
So
Yeah,
you got a
separate one.
separate personal, but it's in your name.
Yeah.
Okay, and then does Cynthia also kind of her tenants and house hacking situation also deposits in the same account that's your name, or do both your names on it?
No, she does her own thing.
Okay. All right. So can you tell me? I was just going to ask what's your exit plan, but I'm going to try to include Cynthia because if you're doing your business venture together, you might get married. I don't know if that's kind of the arrangement. Can you tell me both of you guys' exit plan?
I think it's just going to come down to when we get towards the point, or to the point where it's going to come down to pain in the ass factor. Like, if we decide it's too much of a pain, we'll just liquidate everything and put in something that's less aggravating. But to be honest, I don't really see this as an aggravating thing. So it's something that we're hoping to just kind of keep going for as long as we can. Our biggest concern at this point is we don't have anyone to take over it after we're gone. So at that point, we're kind of thinking, do we make a business out of it? Do we do this, or do we just agree that once we're in like our 70s, for example, just to liquidate the whole thing and just buy a bunch of dividend stock ETF funds or something along those lines? Or at that point, hire a property management company and make a trust out of it, and then give our family something to a little bit additional to help them in the future.
Do you guys so kids are not in the picture? Is that why you're talking that way?
Yeah, kids aren't really in our future.
Okay. And then I listened to Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, and he used to talk about his the descendants, and he was talking about all Americans, and he put money into some big fund that was going to some state in Philadelphia, and like it turned into like $1 million. I don't know the exact story. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, but it made me think that there's elderly people at my church, and I'm like, I was trying to talk to one of them, a couple, and I was like, hey, what's going to happen to your property? Maybe you want to sell it to me, and I hold it, and you can live here, and then, and I'll charge you like really low rent, and I'll maintain it for you guys because they're getting old and stuff. I was just kind of thinking that way, and I was like, you know what, maybe they could leave it to the church, and the church could, liquidate it or continue renting it out. I don't know. I just think there's definitely things like if you're an outdoorsman and you like homesteading and farming and everything, eventually you're going to find some suitable cause that's going to be worthy of you trying to kind of hand down the torch and help out, the next generation. So you'll figure out something. It's interesting to see you're 35 and you're thinking that way already. You're very smart. So that pretty much concludes all the standard questions that I want to kind of go through and try to keep things organized with like the DIY landlords, and maybe have a collection of like good data and facts to kind of see if we can find, a lot of commonalities between us, the small mom and pop landlords. So thank you for going through that with me. But here comes the fun part.
Yes,
I want to just kind of like tell you my journey, all the stuff I was learning about you, my first impression, and what I think might be able to help if you're open to it.
Yeah. I kind of did like you were talking about at the beginning. You said you listened to all my content. I did the same thing. I wrote some notes down.
Okay, cool. For me, do you want to shoot and you want to go for that right now?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead. You can go
Okay,
first, and then I'll go.
Yeah. So what I got is that you're a religious person.
Yeah.
You prioritize family above everything else.
Yeah.
Your wife is or was a flight attendant.
Mhm.
You homeschool your kids.
Yep.
Um, oh, this is what I thought was cool. You don't get shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
You just stick with what you're good at.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to finish this one. You like to listen to books, but I wanted to write down some books to suggest to you, and I forgot to finish that one. That
Yeah.
thought.
If you send it to me, I'll add it in the notes below in the description so we can always refer back to it.
Yeah. Your father was an immigrant from Cuba, and your mother, I believe, was from Kentucky.
Yes. She's a hillbilly. My dad actually was born in Florida, but his parents came from Cuba.
Oh, okay. So awesome food all around.
Yeah. You got any other notes?
No, that was it. I was running around last night, but that's what I gathered.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I'm a Christian. I grew up really bad, going to bed hungry, living in rundown trailer parks, hanging out with really bad trailer trash, river rat kids, and just doing horrible things. I escaped in the military, slowly started turning my life around. I had a buddy that was from Kentucky. We always called him Country, and I went on multiple deployments with him, but he was always a really solid Christian. He won't advertise it, and he's not a like a disciple evangelist, like, hey, everybody, let me tell you about Jesus and try to get you to believe in God. He was just a really good guy. We all cussed and we were all wrestling and we were all staying out late, but he never cussed. He never was speeding. He never made fun of anybody. And you kind of notice that after you hang out with somebody for a while. So he's rubbing off on me every so often. He'd be like, hey, I'm going to church. You want to come? And I'm like, nah. Or we're deployed and there's a chapel. And he's like, hey, I'm going to hit up the chapel. You want to come after the gym or whatever? I'm like, nah. But eventually one time I'm like, yeah, I'll go. And then another time I'm like, yeah, I'll go. And the next thing you know, I realize he's getting all the best gift packages. Because when you get deployed, a lot of times people will send you gift care packages. And he went to this church. We were stationed in Alabama. And I went to that church. This full of nothing but 80-year-olds. He comes in. His name's Brent Madding. He turned in to be a pastor. He walks in that church and I'm with him and I see an elderly home. Like all these people, they all stand up and they love him so much. They're giving him hugs and kisses, everything. And then those are all the same people that were sending the care packages in Iraq. And I was like, oh my gosh, I realized these people were loving this guy so much. They were loaning him his truck so he can drive his stuff from the military when he was getting out. I mean, they would give him anything and everything. So when I started seeing that community, that life, how good of a person he was, so that just kind of brought me around. Then I found my wife. She's a big Christian. She went to a homeschool. She went into like Awana, memorized the Bible. Like she saved sex for marriage. Like she went all out. And then she's my wife. Then we have kids and we're raising up kids. And like, you really look at life different. And I almost look at like God's looking at us and we're his children. And I'm a dad and I look at my kids and I want the best for them. And I'm trying to help them. I don't know. It just changed my life. So that was a big deal to me. My wife still is a flight attendant. And that's really cool. I've never seen anybody turn the table, flip the script on me like that. So let me tell you what I gathered with my notes here. So I
Okay.
saw your YouTube channel. I saw 2 years ago you uploaded a mowing that cemetery, and then I saw your honeybees one. A lot of that stuff was interesting. But it had me questioning because um I'm wondering, like, I would have never looked at this stuff unless I knew you and was about to have this, podcast with you. And I was wondering, like, what is your channel tailored to? Like, who are you trying to attract, or are you just doing this for your own documentation purposes?
I guess I'm just trying to help people out through my story. And I
Okay.
don't know how to really word it better or how to get people drawn to it because, like, how am I going to advertise that the bees attacked? You know, or it's just, I guess in a sense it's just my story and what I'm doing. I'd like to get more people to come and join in on it, but I'm not exactly sure how to word stuff to make it pop more.
Okay. Yeah, that's
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 go ahead.
and that's kind of why I've gotten more bland thumbnails, and I need to. That's something else I need to work on, even if it's just something simple like a picture of the rental property we're talking about, or a picture of someone cutting credit cards, or just something you can AI with like different facial expressions would be better than just standardized different colors of my logo in the back. So I
Yes.
know one time I was trying to send someone a link, and I couldn't, like, just looking at them, I couldn't tell them apart from one another, and I got the colors mixed up, and I sent them the wrong one.
Yeah, dude. Oh man. Mm. And that's what I was gonna say, the thumbnail things, but um there was something I was gonna say before that was okay. So what I was gonna mention is how I don't the shiny object syndrome and stuff. For me, I'm committing to doing, landlording forever, and that's why I call myself the forever landlord. And I have the landlording school, and I'm just trying to get as good as I can with self management and get around other people like you and all that stuff. So I'm just trying to stay in my lane, and I've tried to narrow down my niche all the way down. I think what does help you is because you're calling out Pittsburgh a lot, so that should
Yeah.
resonate with people around there. I think that's good. You already talked about your thumbnails, which, yeah, you could work on those because you have mixed up a few colors and they all kind of look the same. But for me, I'm more visual. I don't read the words, but there are other people that they don't care about the thumbnail and they read the words more. But I think they're more rare. So you still have to do better on the thumbnail, but also the title, and maybe think of like some catchy kind of thing, like what do you do when the bees attack your tenants? I don't know, just something kind of be like, what is this about? And that little bit of questioning. Also, it's good for SEO words search and stuff, because if anybody's typing anything bees, your video might kind of get grabbed up in that. If they know the person is a real estate investor and they follow other real estate channels and they're typing in bees or whatever, it'll present your stuff if it has words. So you definitely want to write in the description a little bit about what the video is. um Also, I was going to ask, how do you go about your full length videos and the way you cut them up? Because as I'm watching all your YouTube videos, I saw some were the full form, and then there was also some that were like snippets of the full form video that I already watched. So I was just wondering what your strategy was with that.
So what I do with the shorts, and honestly, I was thinking about removing them off of YouTube altogether and just focus on putting those on Instagram and X and using those as like outliers to get people to come to YouTube. Because I feel like when the shorts are on YouTube, it's just redundant. You can watch the longer content. So I
Yeah.
kind of getting more to the point where I'm thinking about removing the shorts off of YouTube altogether and just put the shorter content that's redundant on just X and Instagram and making separate shorts that aren't the same as everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something that I would suggest is um almost like you could download the shorts. So if you already have them on YouTube before you delete them, you can download it. I would say go to X, upload that video, the shorts that you already made, and then add the link to the full video, because X is more shorter video content, but it is changing a little bit. I've been seeing some really long
Yeah.
stuff there. And the other thing that I would say is I know you have the Facebook. I found that. I found your X and your YouTube. I didn't know you had an Instagram, but I would almost suggest learning one at a time because I got them all. And what I did is I did a farewell message to Facebook, Instagram. I even had a Pinterest. I mean, I had all this stuff. And I said, I'll be on X if you want to find me. And I'm just going to focus on trying to learn X, which helps me with some other feedback that I have. Because since I've been focusing on X so much, I learned a few things that I think you're missing because you maybe don't know. When you I looked at all your X. I went and down all the way to the bottom and liked them all and read everything and went all the way to the top. I would suggest don't just share the links to YouTube and don't just say, watch this nugget. Explain a little bit. Hey, what about the bees? Because X also does the same thing. When somebody's searching or somebody's in the real estate space, if they know you're using words, it's starting to profile you, and you'll have connection with other random people. And also, when let's say this video, when you get the footage and you want to cut something up or do anything with it, when you post it and it's a good thing that you want, I would pin it to the top because X, the platform, will actually push and promote that more than it would a normal post. So every time you're freshly putting something new out that you want to try to reach out, always pin that, and you can always unpin it and pin something new later. So I would definitely take advantage of like adding better descriptions. And doing that pinning feature thing, which I recently learned about.
Yeah, well, the reason why, because I know you asked before in messages about the Instagram, and I told you that the Instagram and the X are just the same thing. They release the same videos at the same time and the same
Oh,
thing.
okay.
And that's why I told you in the messaging before, like, a while back. It's like, if you're part of X, don't go to Instagram
Okay.
because they're both identical to one another. But I'm thinking about actually getting rid of the Instagram and just using the X. And the only reason why I have the Facebook is just because sometimes it's easy. I use it as just like a reminder of different. Like I'll find an article, for example, that I want to use, and instead of copying a link and getting it lost in my email, I'll just share it to that Facebook page, and then I can find it a lot quicker. Or if I have like a random thought for like a video topic, I'll just make a comment because there's no one really on it. So
Mhm.
it's just easier for me to keep track and find stuff in the future.
Yeah, you can use it that way. I didn't know if you were actually trying to promote all of them at the same time, and I was thinking maybe it would help if you just focus dialed in on one and try to get that one going as best as possible, and then it'll be easier for you once you learn that one to kind of maybe add in another one. But all I'm doing is just giving information
Yeah,
that I think might be helpful. You don't have to use none of it or maybe some of it. And because it was my first impression of you going through all your stuff, everything I could find about your digital footprint. So that's pretty much all I have. I do have like some signature ending closing questions if you want to answer like 4 more questions. If not, we can go. I know I
sure.
had you for a while. Are you good with time?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you think housing should be a human right? Like, should the government go out and ensure everybody has a house?
So I forget which country it is in the world, but they treat housing as a right, but there's a twist on it. So if you're going to take advantage of the government for providing you housing and stuff, now granted, the government housing is a lot better than what we have here in the States. I forget where it is, somewhere over in Asia, I think, like one of those cultures. You have to work. Like, you do not get to select what job you do. Like, you're told what you're doing because they're offering you this because you don't have a job. Now, if you have like a disability, they'll give you like a computer job. If you're young and healthy, like, to keep the garbage down, they have you or sweeping the streets and collecting garbage for the garbage men to come by and pick up and stuff. Like, you have to provide to the greater economy overall in order to take advantage of that. Now, if you decide to then say, "Hey, I'm good. I don't need this house," you can give the house back and go buy your own because in that culture, and I want to say it's China, but I'm not positive, to go get your own house and stuff, that's fine. But you have a job, you can pay for the house, and then you're off of that system, and that's fine. If we implement something more like that, I would be okay with it. But just to for our for our government to be like, oh, hey, here's a house, here you go. And just knowing how our government runs stuff and how it's always a disaster every time they try to touch something, I would rather them just stay hands off of it.
Yeah, let the capitalist society sort it out, and and in that situation, I bet you there's still homeless people that just choose to live on the streets because it's just like almost like some people want to be just like a modern day hippie bum. I don't know, but okay, that's a good
Well,
answer. I
I
haven't
have
heard that.
friends. I have a couple friends, and they do exactly like you said. Like you see videos about people jumping on trains and stuff. That's exactly what they do. Like they've been all across this country. They don't know where they're going. They ended up crossing the border accidentally, and that was a fun story to listen to. How they had to avoid border patrol to get back into the states and stuff. But they're just happy living in a tent.
Yeah. So, can you share your biggest real estate investing failure or maybe the biggest lesson learned, like something that would be good for newcomers to kind of learn from?
I got two I'll share with you.
Okay.
So my first tenants, and this is probably the more important lesson here. Um, Never think you're too small to act like a landlord. Like you don't need to give the impression of a big company to not take it serious like a big company. So the first tenant, I fell into the whole sob story. I let this tenant in, freshly remodeled house. They brought a dog in that wasn't supposed to be there, tore up the place. Their kids were disrespectful. I When they left 3 months later, I found spaghetti that was on the ceiling, nuts that were glued to the wall. The dog peed and chewed up the carpet. They were there for 3 months and it cost me $9,000. So make sure you screen your tenants. You're never too small to act proper. And the second lesson is again the property with the honeybees. Make sure you realize what you're getting yourself into and don't take off more than you can chew. Just because like I've learned so much from that property, and it's definitely a cash cow. And now that I have it, I wouldn't sell it. But knowing everything I had to do to get it up to this point, plus what I have to do to finish, I don't know if I would have bought that property. But I don't regret buying the property, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I like it. I appreciate it. That's some wisdom right there. So can you tell me how you help people and how people can get in contact with you?
Just shoot me a message. Either jump over on my YouTube channel, leave a comment, or in the school community, I'm on there. I'm active all the time. Both of yours and Michael Zuber's. Um, if you can find me on Facebook, you can message me. I'm an open book. Just message me. I'll do my best to help you. If I can't help you, I'll point you in the right direction at least.
Okay, cool. I'll put your links, the ones that I have. I got your X, your YouTube, and your Facebook. If you want to give me your Instagram, or if you're removing that one, we
I'm
can
kind of
not add it.
trying to phase that one out.
Okay, okay,
I
cool.
only use that one for communication more with different people. That's the only way they can communicate with me.
Okay, and then the last question would be: is there anything I could do to help you?
Um, I'd like to come back at some point. And I'd like to talk about your structure with LLCs and stuff. I got to
Okay.
hear a little bit about it, but I didn't because I was running around, machines and stuff last night. I didn't quite to hear in depth like your entire process. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Okay. Sure. And then I think when we were talking before, you referenced that you would like me to come on your podcast and we could do something.
Yes, I have the topic finally picked out.
Oh, okay. So you're going to present a topic and we just discuss it?
I can tell you the topic now if you like.
Okay, sure. Go for it.
Yeah, I had this idea a couple days ago, and then I started talking to you, and I was just like, "Oh, this is the perfect topic for you." But the topic I'd like to talk about is where does God fall in your business? Kind of like what I feel like my calling is, and related to real estate and business. And I'll tell you that in that video.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Anybody's watching this, you're gonna have to jump over on his channel and stay tuned. I'm go ahead and end this right now, and then we can
Okay.
arrange that off the record, and then we can do it soon. All right. Thanks everybody for
Okay.
dropping
Sounds
by
good.
and watching this.
Thank you.